Okay, welcome in one and all. I'm now going to make my predictions for week two of the NFL season. So week two kicks off on Thursday night between the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles in this one. The Vikings last week they just proved that they were the favorites going into that matchup, but obviously the outcome did not go their way. So I believe they have a little bit to prove this week. If they can go into Philadelphia and shock the Eagles and get back to 500, that'd be fantastic for that organization. But I just feel that the Eagles are the better team in this particular matchup. Oh, shoot. Next up, I have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Both these teams are 1-0. I'm going to give the edge to the Packers in this one. I was very shocked at how well they performed last week against Chicago. Jordan Love, yeah, it's only been one full game, but he's proven to me that he seems like he can deal with the pressure and being under center. And this is going to be their second game away from home. I don't think they get their first home game until next week. So if they can go 2-0 to start the season on the road, that would be huge for that organization. The Las Vegas Raiders are going into Buffalo to take on the Bills, and despite the Raiders getting the victory last week and the Bills losing, I believe Buffalo should get back in the win column after a tough loss against the New York Jets. I believe that they should bounce back more or less and get their record back to 1-1. A very intriguing matchup in the AFC North between Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals obviously coming off a huge loss against the Cleveland Browns, whereas the Baltimore Ravens pretty much had their way with the Houston Texans last week. I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens in this one. I believe the Bengals have a lot to prove, just like some teams that, they just have lots to prove in my mind if they want to be able to compete and be as good as they have been the last two seasons. So I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens in this one. The Seattle Seahawks are taking on the Detroit Lions, and the Seahawks coming off a loss last week. The Lions coming off a huge win against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to keep the ball rolling, and I believe the Detroit Lions should improve to 2-0. The Indianapolis Colts are taking on the Houston Texans. Both these teams are 0-1. I believe that the Colts have, not trying to disrespect the Texans, but they have a better overall team. I mean, they kept the games fairly close last week against the Jaguars. Yeah, they lost by 10, but Houston lost, I think it was like 25-9 or something crazy like that to the Baltimore Ravens. So I believe it's going to be some growing pains for the Houston Texans this year, and I believe that Quentin Richardson should get his first victory as a quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. The Kansas City Chiefs are taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. These two teams obviously played last year in the divisional round with the Chiefs winning. I'm sure that the Jaguars are trying to prove that last season was no fluke. They obviously started off the season with a win. The Chiefs obviously lost their first game of the season, so they're trying to look back. They're trying to bounce back, I do apologize, and get back in the win column. And now that they have Chris Jones back in the lineup and Travis Kelce could potentially come back for their week two matchup, I believe they should get back in the win column and get back to 500. Chicago Bears are heading into Florida to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bears obviously coming off a crushing loss to the Packers, while the Buccaneers pulled off a huge victory against the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're going to keep the ball rolling for a team that I did not have that very high expectation. I know the season is still extremely young. I think that they should get the home victory in this matchup. The Los Angeles Chargers are taking on the Tennessee Titans. Both these teams are coming in at 0-1. I believe the one team that can pull it off to get back to 500 are the Chargers. I just have a lot more faith in Justin Herbert than I do with the other team, and I believe they should get back to 1-1. The New York Giants are taking on the Arizona Cardinals, and this is a matchup that, for me, it's a big question mark. No team has really stood out over the other. Both these teams are 0-1, but the big thing is the Giants put up a grand total of 0 points against the Cowboys. They have to at least try to score a touchdown or a field goal if they want to be able to try and get some type of momentum and try to get back in the win column. I just think that's going to be tough. And I think the Cardinals are probably going to pull this victory off. But then again, I could be completely wrong. The Giants could blow out the Cardinals. I have no idea. But I just believe since the Cardinals were able to score last week, that they might have the advantage in this matchup. An NFC West showdown between the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. Both these teams are sitting at 1-0. I'm going to give the edge to the 49ers. I just think that on paper that they're a better team. Offense, defense, special teams, you name it. They seem to have the full package. So I'm going to roll with the 49ers against the Los Angeles Rams. The New York Jets are taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, on any other given Sunday, this would be the game of the week, but because Aaron Rodgers has been lost for the season, I think this is going to be not as close of a matchup as people might think. I'm not trying to disrespect the New York Jets defense or their special teams. It's fantastic. Obviously, they pulled off a huge victory against the Buffalo Bills last week, but I think that because the Cowboys are the Cowboys, that they should get the victory. So Dallas should get the victory against the Jets in this matchup. The Washington Commanders are taking on the Denver Broncos. Both these teams, Washington's 1-0, Denver's 0-1. I'm going to give the edge to the Broncos in this one. They had a very close matchup last week against the Raiders. If they lose this game, man, this season could go down the toilet pretty quick. But I'm hoping that the Broncos can have a bounce back week and get back to a 1-1 record. The Sunday night matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. Dolphins coming off a victory, and the Patriots are coming off a Week 1 loss. I'm going to give the edge to the Dolphins in this one. Now that Brady's no longer a member of the New England Patriots, it's going to be tough for the Patriots, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Not trying to disrespect Mac Jones in any way, but it's kind of hard to live up to expectations when you're basically replacing one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So I believe that Tua Tagovailoa, I'm sure I'm totally screwing up his name, should have a fairly decent game. And when you have Tyreek Hill on your team, Cheetah, he can probably burn a few cornerbacks, to say the least. This 2 Monday night games. The first one is in the NFC South Division, has the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. Both these teams are sitting at 1-0. I just think that, I think Derek Carr has lots to prove to a lot of people that his last stint with the Vegas Raiders didn't end that well, so he's trying to have a bounce back year. And they had a humongous victory, even though it was a 16-15 game last week against the Tennessee Titans. I think they're going to keep the ball rolling, and they should improve to 2-0 on the season. And this is probably going to be, I won't say it's going to be an upset, because the Steelers have obviously been so favored against the Browns over the past several years. But I'm going to give the edge to the Browns and against their AFC North rivals. They had a huge victory, obviously, last week against the Bengals. And if they can pull off another victory against the Steelers, they could be a lot more dangerous than what people are thinking. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think I made a prediction that they might finish third or fourth in their division. But, if they get a victory over the Steelers, and obviously if the Ravens happen to beat the Bengals, they could be sitting tied for first in that division. It's kind of hard to believe. But again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. We're only in week 2 of the season. So those are my predictions for week 2, and I will have my results on Tuesday after the Monday night games are all complete. Thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, take care.